The room was loud, but the sound did not reach her at first. Light spilled from the chandeliers like liquid gold, sliding across marble floors and polished shoes. Laughter rose and fell in waves, smooth and careless. In the far corner of the ballroom, a small girl stood still, as if she had stepped into the wrong world and didn't know how to step back out. Her fingers hovered above the piano keys. They shook, not from cold but from knowing how much those keys mattered. No one noticed her shoes. They were worn thin at the edges. No one noticed the way she stood on her toes, trying to look taller than she was, but if someone had looked into her eyes, they would have seen something quiet and unbreakable waiting there. A voice cut through the room, confident, amused, too loud for kindness. "Go on," the man said, smiling for the crowd. "Play something, impress me." The guests laughed easily, the way people laugh when nothing is at stake for them. The girl did not laugh. She was 7 years old and her name was Anna. She had learned very early that promises could vanish, that adults could leave, and that hope was dangerous if you held it too tightly. But standing there with the piano in front of her, the man's careless words felt different. They felt like a door left open just long enough for her to see what was on the other side. Anna's life had never been gentle. She had moved through places that never quite felt like home, rooms where food ran out too early, beds that never felt warm, voices that spoke about her as if she weren't listening. She learned to be quiet. Quiet children were easier to forget. The piano was the one thing that never pushed her away. She found it years ago in a forgotten room of an orphanage, buried under dust and silence. One broken key, two that were stiff. But when she pressed them, the sound filled the empty space in a way nothing else ever had. She didn't know notes or names for chords, she only knew that when she played, the ache inside her loosened its grip. Now the ache was back, heavier than ever. The man who had spoken was Alexander Gray. People admired him for his success, feared him for his sharp tongue, and praised him for his generosity when cameras were nearby. He was used to rooms bending toward him, to people laughing a second too early at his jokes. Tonight was no different. To him, the girl by the piano was a moment of entertainment, nothing more. Anna sat down. The bench was cold. The piano smelled of polish and money. Her feet didn't quite reach the pedals, but she adjusted the way she always did. Slowly, carefully, as if she were asking permission from the instrument itself. Her first note slipped out wrong. Someone laughed. Her shoulders tensed. For a moment she considered standing up, stepping back into the corner where no one expected anything from her. That was the safer place, but then she remembered the orphanage at night, the moonlight, the way the piano never laughed back. She closed her eyes. The room faded, the chandeliers blurred into nothing. There was only the piano and the space inside her that needed to speak. She played. The music wasn't clean or trained, it didn't follow rules. It moved the way feelings move, uneven and honest. It carried nights spent awake, days spent waiting, and a hope so small it almost disappeared when you looked straight at it. The laughter stopped. Conversations slowed, then died out. People turned not because they were told to, but because something in the sound pulled at them. The melody wavered, caught itself, and kept going. Anna's body swayed slightly, like she was holding onto the music so it wouldn't leave her too. Alexander leaned forward without realizing he had moved. The smirk on his face softened, then vanished. The music reached a place he hadn't visited in years, a memory of a woman sitting at a piano in a small house playing softly while a younger version of himself listened from the stairs. He had buried that memory under meetings and deals and long, empty nights. He told himself it no longer mattered. But the sound in the room said otherwise. When Anna reached the final note, she let it fade on its own. She didn't rush it. Silence settled gently like snow. No one clapped. Not yet. Anna opened her eyes. The room felt larger now, heavier. She looked at the man who had spoken first, not with fear, not with anger, just waiting. Alexander stood up. He didn't say anything at first. He walked toward her, the sound of his shoes echoing louder than the applause that finally followed behind him. The room felt distant, unreal. When he reached her, he lowered himself until they were eye to eye. His voice was quieter than anyone expected. "That wasn't a performance," he said, "that was a gift." Anna's hands tightened on the edge of the bench. She didn't know if this was another kind of joke. Alexander swallowed, "And I don't want to walk away from it." The words that followed didn't fix everything. They didn't erase paperwork or time or pain, but they were honest. And for Anna, honesty was something she had learned to recognize. The months after were not easy. Trust doesn't arrive all at once. Some nights Anna woke up afraid it had all been a dream. Some days Alexander wondered if he was strong enough to be what she needed. But they stayed, they listened, they learned. The piano stayed too. It moved into a room filled with sunlight. Anna played when she was happy. She played when she was scared. Sometimes Alexander sat beside her pressing the wrong keys and laughing when she corrected him. The sound of the house changed. Years later, people still talked about that night, about the music, about the silence, but Anna remembered something else most of all. She remembered being seen. True worth doesn't announce itself, it waits, and sometimes all it needs is a moment of courage to change a life forever. If this story stayed with you, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who needs it today. Subscribe for more quiet, soulful stories like this. And if this meant something to you, comment one word below.